Hello everyone, my name is Andrew AJT, and today I'm going to do some commentary for my speedrun of Pac-Man World 2 Re-PAC in 30 minutes and 12 seconds using real-time calculation. This is the current world record for the Switch version of the game and for the newest patch of the game, although there are faster runs done on the PC version on older patches. So I'm not going to do super serious commentary for this or anything. I'm just going to watch the run with you guys and try to explain things as I go. The one unfortunate thing about this game is the controls can be customized, but they do not save between save files, so I spend a little bit of time each run just remapping them. You could remap some of the controls in the Switch system settings, but that might interfere with other controls and certain things like fixing the horizontal camera and turning off like the player tracking camera options. Those you would have to do in game. It's kind of annoying because in the first Re-PAC game, the controls do not get reset with every new file, but in this game they do. So we actually did a clip there to skip right to World 5. Normally there's 6 worlds and you have to do them one at a time, but with an out-of-bounds clip in Pac Village, we skip right to World 5. And then in the first stage here, Scuba Duba, I do a clip to get out of bounds, and this should make the level much quicker. It's a pretty linear level as it is, so it doesn't save like multiple minutes to do this skip, but at least we can just go right to the goal here, and that should save some time. That skip is a little bit finicky. It doesn't always work that well. What I find is just like swimming downward with the ZR button for a couple seconds before I actually input the swim seems to help a lot with that. And then we have to re-enter the stage here at kind of a precise location because you don't want to be too low or you'll run into the rocks. So I'm playing this game on the Switch version. This game is pretty much available on like all platforms and PC and modern consoles and whatnot, but I'm playing on the Switch version on a physical copy, and there are a number of, I would say, issues with the game on the Switch version. One is not really a problem, but it does lengthen the speedrun, and that is the load times of this game. They are significantly by far the longest on the Switch version, and they're probably even longer because I'm playing on an actual cartridge copy of the game compared to a digital copy. And yeah, so the load times are very long. The load times actually do get subtracted on the leaderboard, so like the 3012 time is the real time, but on the leaderboard a few minutes will be taken off of that for the load times. But there are places where the Switch does lose time that are not subtracted. So this is the Shark Attack stage, and it has a similar clip. You basically go in that little wall there, and you can actually go left or right. I like to go to the right once I'm nudged into the wall, and you essentially just leave the stage yet again. And it's a very similar concept. You could just, you know, go through the stage normally, but going out of bounds here allows you to kind of cut some corners better and go right to the goal here. And it's a really nice clip because this stage is a bit annoying to do without the glitch because you have to worry about getting eaten by those sharks, so we skip all that here. So these remakes are very nice, thankfully. The Pac-Man World Re-PAC and World 2 Re-PAC. I think they are very good remakes of the original games. I did play the original 2 games growing up quite a bit on PS1 and PS2, and thankfully they kind of overhauled the water levels in this game. In the original Pac-Man World 2, there is lengthy auto-scrollers that are very boring and very easy, and you have to actually do them in the speedrun. There's no way to skip them. So thankfully they're much shorter in this game, and there's a lot more interesting skips you can do. This level, though, is still an auto-scroller. Thankfully, you can actually go to the top right corner here for about 40 seconds without pressing anything, and you won't get hit, and you can just AFK. So it's a really nice time to just like take a sip of water or whatnot, because all these missiles are just going to miss me. Eventually I'll have to start playing again for the tunnel section coming up, but at least here I can just take a bit of a breather. You saw again, I do have to adjust some controls for this. I like to invert the Y-axis controls so that like when you press up you go down, and when you press down you go up. So it feels kind of like a Star Fox 64 type of control scheme. There are ways to do this on PC without having to remap the controls in game, but on the Switch you just have to do it in the pause menu, or you could get used to the way it is by default, but I'm just very used to the inverted Y controls from growing up playing Star Fox 64. So the Switch version of this game is 30 FPS, which is kind of unfortunate because the original GameCube version of this game was 60 frames per second, so you would think that like 20 years later a console would be able to still handle 60, but this game is just not very well optimized seemingly for the Switch, so they had to make some compromises. I'm also playing on the performance mode of the game. By the way, you can just go on the bottom left of this pipe here and you won't get hit by these propellers. I'm playing on the performance mode. There is a resolution mode which does make the graphics look much better, but unfortunately that mode has a bit more lag on some of the later stages especially. Even on the performance mode there is some frame drops unfortunately, but most of the stages run about okay. So 30 FPS is just not ideal for a platformer because your inputs are being pulled, you know, twice as slow basically. So if you want like really precise jumps or movement, that's going to be a lot more difficult on 30 frames per second, although you can certainly get used to it. The frame rate does seem to cause other issues. I'm not sure exactly which specifically it causes, but the map screen is also a little bit slower on the Switch version. Like, it takes a little bit longer to select a stage. You also don't have access to a mouse, so you have to select all the stages with the control stick, which is a little bit slower. I've also noticed that the menuing seems a little bit slower on Switch, especially the score screen at the end of every level seems to take a little bit longer. So here's actually probably the most different stage on the Switch version, the whale boss fight. So the beginning is just a very brief auto-scroller, and then we will get into the boss fight, and I'll explain some of the differences. So the going up right trick actually does work for about 20 seconds or so at the start of the stage, so you can AFK a bit again. So the format of the stage is you basically have an auto-scroller at the beginning for a brief time, and then a boss fight. And it's actually a fairly lengthy boss fight with multiple phases. It's definitely a fight I've seen a lot of casual players complain about, because when you're just starting out with this game it's not the easiest. But with practice it becomes much easier. But we are going to go for some risky strats where I take damage on purpose to save time, and that makes it a bit more challenging. So with the Pac-Marine, which is what Pac-Man is piloting, you have 3 different power-ups you can use in addition to your normal torpedo attack. You have the homing missiles, which are not something you're going to see much in this run. They're mainly just used for the auto-scroller segment if you happen to grab them. You also have the laser, which you're seeing here, which is probably the best all-around power-up. It just does a lot of damage. And then we have the power bomb, which we are actually going to use here. So a pretty cool trick you can do is you can grab the power bomb during the auto-scroller segment, and then we can actually bring this into the boss fight to save time. And thankfully they give you a health refill before this boss fight, so you really don't have to try that hard in the auto-scroller segment as long as you don't die. So basically with the power bomb, normally you have to defeat 4 of these cannons here, but I just unleashed the power bomb right away and it takes care of like 2.5 of them almost immediately. And then I can just finish off the other one here. So I took damage there, which is really bad. You're not really supposed to take damage, especially this is one of the easier parts of the fight, so it's not the end of the world. I'm just gonna have to lose a few seconds later because I won't be able to take damage on purpose to save time later. So this segment is the arm cannons, and these have multiple attacks, and just learning how to recognize each attack is important because you can optimally follow it during the attack and continue firing the torpedoes. So this time I know he's going to go up and down, and you just want to stay very close and fire these torpedoes. So one issue with the Switch version is the rate of fire for the torpedo attack, the standard attack. is slower, or at least the damage output is slightly slower. So that does actually cost some significant time during this fight. And there's another issue which I will show you soon. This is probably the hardest phase right here, the tail phase, because there's a lot of things coming at you. The blue missiles home on you slightly, and the red missiles are pure homing missiles, and you have to really actively dodge those sometimes. So this phase can be one of those scariest to take damage, but it went pretty good in this run. Okay, so next is the head cannon phase, and basically he's going to charge up an attack, and if you do enough damage quickly enough, you can actually interrupt his attack. Unfortunately, because of the slower damage output on the Switch, I will not be able to do enough damage quickly enough to interrupt his attack without taking a hit myself. As you see there, I had to take a hit to interrupt his attack. On the PC version, you actually can do damage quickly enough to interrupt his attack. So that's a major difference. So that means I have to take another guaranteed point of damage there. You don't have to take the hit, like you can dodge the attack, but then you're going to lose a lot of time because you're going to have to wait for him to do an additional attack afterwards. Here I can pick up a laser though, and from here on out I won't have to take any damage. Thankfully, when he does his arm cannon attack on this gold phase, you can just go to the top right here, and you also will never get hit. So another difference with the whale on 30 FPS is his animations actually take a bit longer. So the times where you can't hit him and you're just waiting for him to move into like the next phase, that also takes a bit longer on 30 FPS for some reason. It actually continues to speed up if you were to increase the frame rate of the game. So like if you play this on PC and you put this game at like 120 frames per second, then the animations would go even quicker. But PC players, there is a rule where they have to play at 60 FPS or lower. But on Switch, you're stuck at 30, which is even slower than 60. So there's the almost done with the whale, just one more phase here. So basically this is where I would also want to take damage on purpose. You can dodge these lasers, but then in a second here, the lasers are going to be right in the middle. And normally I would take 2 hits here to continue to fire at the target there, but unfortunately I was only able to take 1 hit of damage there. Normally you can do the full like damage boost and you can just stay there and take 2 hits and continue firing the whole time. But because I took that accidental damage early on in the fight, I unfortunately had to dodge quicker there, or get out of the way. So I'm playing on the newest patch 1.04. There is actually a 1.0.0 version of this game that's on the cartridge when you buy it if you don't update the game, at least the cartridge I bought. And this fight is actually significantly different on that 1.0 version. The biggest difference is you can do a strat where you take the power bomb into the like head cannon phase of the whale, and you can basically use the power bomb in a way that like skips several of his phases. The problem is that to do that strat optimally, you would have to do the first phase with just torpedoes, which is not possible to do in one cycle with just the torpedoes on Switch. It is possible on PC, but I do not think it's possible on Switch. I'm not 100% sure. And the other difference is that the final phase of the whale fight, where you're shooting at the central target, his lasers in that phase have a much bigger hitbox, and it makes that phase a lot more difficult. So that's part of the reason I haven't been running on 1.0, is that the fight could be faster on the 1.0 version, but it would also be a lot more difficult. Even if PC and Switch are being played on the same version, the newest patch, you can still do some faster strats on the PC version involving saving the power bomb for the later phases. And in total, with all the other differences of that fight, you would probably save around 40 seconds on the PC version. If you did the same strats that I'm doing in this run on PC version, newest patch, you would probably save around 30 seconds. Confusingly though, there is no 1.0 version for the PC version because it's digital only, so even though it's faster than Switch, you can't use those like 1.0 time saves on PC. Interestingly though, you could play the 1.0 version on PlayStation 5, and you would probably get all the 1.0 time saves without having to have all the time losses of the Switch version, so the PS5 version is probably the fastest version of the game, but I don't think anyone has tried running it yet. So this stage is a lot of fun, Haunted Boardwalk. This stage is normally a bit of an auto-scroller, but as you're seeing, there's actually lots of ways where I can bounce onto the poles here and get like boosts of speed, which is really fun. The boosts I'm doing are not the most optimal ones, but they do save a lot of time. There are some riskier ones I could be going for that would save a few more seconds, maybe 5 to 10 seconds total throughout the entire stage, but they're pretty risky, so I go for some safer ones here. I think you also saw that one of the checkpoints lagged the game a little bit earlier, which can happen sometimes on the Switch. I'm not sure why it happens because it doesn't usually happen. So here, just going to do one more boost here to skip some of this final section. Basically, when you're on flat ground with the roller skates, you go very slow, so I want to try to jump off the pole as far as possible to skip being on flat ground for as long as possible. So we just have 3 stages left. So another small time save is when I'm selecting the stage, I'm always using the Y map option to have the cursor select the stage instead of having to walk there and pick the stage manually. Interestingly, the 1.0 version also contains like some beta elements, and that little loading screen for the night crawling stage I just entered is actually significantly different on the 1.0 version. It shows like some beta elements of the stage. I'll post a link of the picture on a Twitter thread I posted in the description of this video if you're curious, because there are some more beta elements left over in the 1.0 version. So this stage is night crawling, and this has 3 mazes we have to do, although we can actually skip one of them. It is actually possible to skip the maze that I just did earlier. There's a glitch with the tree where you can like jump at one of the trees and kick, and you'll get a bunch of height, and you can go out of bounds to skip the maze. Unfortunately, because I'm playing on the newest patch, 1.04, they made that glitch a lot more difficult to do on the 1.04 version, and I haven't been able to get it consistently with a lot of tries. There might be a better setup that makes it more possible in the future on this patch, but it's significantly easier on the older patches. If you were to do that skip with the tree, and also there's another tree coming up that lets you do another little skip, combine those would probably save like 30 to 40 seconds, but I'm not going to do them in this run because, again, it's much harder to do on the newest patch. So this maze is absolutely required right now. There is no known way to skip it, and it's not bad though because the maze movement is a lot of fun to watch. If you're really precise, you can actually go right between the spikes, so you don't have to wait, and I did that at least once earlier. So this is the section you could skip with the tree glitch, which is easier on the older patches, but instead I just have to go over here and hit the button. So coming up is one of the newer discoveries in the game, which you can thankfully do on all patches. There's a glitch with the pac-throw, which is a move that was actually not in the original game. It was only in the original Pac-Man World 1. Basically, when you bounce on these bedoing trampolines, you have like lower gravity, and then if you press the bounce button and then you immediately interrupt it with a pac-throw, you gain a little bit of height and distance every time. It's really easy to do this glitch actually with a bit of practice. You just bounce on the trampoline, and then you press B and then A immediately after, and then you just like wait a second or so and you can repeat. And you can do this for as long as you want, for as many pac-throws or pac pellets that you have. For here I'm kind of spacing out the pac-throws because I don't want to gain too much height. I mainly want distance here to get up on this invisible wall here. And so I'm on the invisible wall on the side of the maze, and I can skip the maze, and I can also skip this section with the ghosts, which is really nice because that's a bit of an RNG section. You could continue doing the pac-throw glitch like longer into the level, but there's really no point. Like it's faster just to do normal movement at this point. And so this stage is cycle-based, so I'm going to try to hit this platform cycle, which I was able to get pretty easily. And if I was not able to get it, I would have to wait for the next cycle, which would be like 5 seconds slower maybe, or even a little more. I can charge up a rev roll while the platform is tilted backward there, and that makes it really easy to hit this next cycle here. This cycle is tied to the previous platform cycle, so this one's pretty consistent. And same trick here, just going to charge up the rev roll. And there we go, that was a really solid night crawling actually. Pretty solid run so far, really. The only like somewhat significant mistake was taking the extra damage on the whale. And that meant because I had to take the extra damage on the Switch version that I had to skip one of the damage boosts, but that probably only wasted like 3 to 5 seconds, I would say. So we just have one more normal stage left, Ghost Bayo. And this stage we are also going to use the pac-throw glitch. But we're going to use it in a much different way on this stage, because we're mainly going to want height rather than distance from it. So in the meantime, this is one of the more challenging stages in the run. You also have to be very concerned about cycles in this stage, because there's a lot of these tree platforms that move up and down. So we really want to go as quick as possible to make sure we hit the right cycles. And of course all of the water there is a one-hit kill, so it's a bit of a scary stage late in the run, especially when your nerves are a bit high. Gonna use the super bounce here, which is a new mechanic for this game to get some more height. So the kick move in this game is also really good. It gives you some more speed, and it also gives you more distance on your jumps, so using the kick like almost every single time that you jump is really useful. The kick move was present in the original Pac-Man World 2, but you can only use it in mid-air, whereas in this remake they let you use it on the ground as well, which is really nice. So here's the ghost section. You basically just grab the power pellet and eat all the ghosts. There's a little bit of RNG to this because the ghosts move around randomly, but you should always be able to eat all 4 ghosts before the power pellet expires. There is another ghost section where that is not usually the case. If you do not manage to kill all the ghosts before the pellet expires, you have to wait around for another one. And there's actually a ghost section right at the end of the stage where very often you will have to wait around for another one, unless you get really good luck, so you'll see if I get lucky or not in this run. The reason it's luck-based is the ghosts move around randomly, so if they just happen to like move in 4 different directions, then it's going to take longer to catch them all. So this is a very long stage normally, but thankfully I can use the pac-throw glitch here to skip the rest of it. It is a bit unfortunate that the pac-throw glitch skips so much of these stages because they are very cool stages to speedrun, but thankfully there is a new glitchless category. It's officially called on leaderboard All Golden Fruits Restricted, and this glitch is actually banned in that category, so if you want to see like these stages, that run will still have to do them normally. So here we're just going to use these trampolines as like little step ladders to get as much height as possible, and then we want to go straight to the boss here, the Wormwood fight. But unfortunately the invisible walls on this stage are incredibly high, so I'm going to have to use a lot of pac-throws and using them more rapidly here to gain height to try to get up on top of the invisible wall. Again, this glitch is actually not that difficult with practice, but it's a little bit scary to do because if you accidentally like press the bounce button by itself, you'll go spiraling back towards the ground and the run is pretty much going to be over at that point. So it's not difficult, but you could definitely mess it up if you're not careful. So now I'm on the invisible wall. I'm going to use a rev roll to go all the way down to the boss fight here. So that saves multiple minutes because you skip a significant portion of the stage. So I just have to hit all these switches, and then this is just pure RNG. I have to pray that the ghosts are in good positions to where I can eat all the ghosts before the pellet expires with the meter on the top left. So one more ghost and the meter is about to expire, but I just barely got it here, just by a hair, and that's a really nice time save. You can probably only get that, I would say, maybe 25% of the time. If you don't get that, then you have to wait for another pellet to spawn and then go eat the ghosts from there, but that wastes about 12 seconds, so a lot of time saved there from getting lucky and also playing pretty cleanly. So we just have one more stage left, that's the final boss, Spooky. There is a post-game set of levels in this game, but in the regular any percent run you don't have to do the post-game levels, but there are other categories that do those levels. So right at the start here, I'm going to go for a triple hit. I'm going to hope actually for good RNG, because if he spawns his meteor attack right above his head, I can't get the triple hit. But here he spawns them more above his shoulders, and I can do a triple hit with a couple of short hop kicks there. And the rest of this fight can be a little bit tricky on this first phase. This wasn't the fastest. I probably could have done this first phase a few extra seconds if I got more lucky attack patterns. This phase, though, the second phase, is actually 100% consistent as long as you don't mess up. You essentially kind of go over here and hit him 3 times at the start. You actually want to delay getting to him a little bit, otherwise he will push you away. And then you basically just follow this circle attack, and you can get your 6 hits in, and he's down to the last phase now. So that second phase is the only one that is 100% consistent if you don't mess up. So this third phase is the longest phase, and it has a lot of RNG actually. He basically, the way it works is, he will do 2 attacks, and then you can hit him, he'll do 2 more attacks, then you can hit him again, then he'll do 2 more attacks, and you can hit him for the final time. And some of his attacks are slower than others. His fastest attack by far is if he spawns enemies, and you have to wait out all these attacks, so you really want him to spawn enemies because that attack saves like 6 seconds if he does it, and he can do it up to 3 times total, so you can potentially save up to 18 seconds if you get 3 skeleton spawns, compared to you lose the 18 seconds if you don't get any skeleton spawns, so I'm going to just hope for skeleton spawns. And there's 1, so there's about 6 seconds saved to RNG. I would say getting 1 skeleton spawn is about average in the fight, so we're going to have a chance for 1 more. But overall this run was really clean in terms of my gameplay. I'm really happy with how I played in this run. And we got a second spawn, so that's pretty good RNG, getting 2 spawns out of 3 to save 12 seconds. And again, that's just pure RNG, there's nothing you can do to manipulate that as far as we know. And combined with the 12 seconds saved from getting the 1 pellet ghosts on the Wormwood fight, this run was actually pretty lucky. So here's the final hit here. This is a little bit scary because you have to do the super bounces, which require a bit of timing, but I was able to get them there quick enough. And there we go, there's the final hit. So the run is not over yet. You have to watch this like 90-second cutscene. But yeah, this run was really good. I'm really happy with this. This was kind of unexpected. I did not think I was even going to beat my previous PB of 30-25 anytime soon. And then this run kind of came out of nowhere. I played really good and I got really good RNG, so it's a great combination. Sub 30 with the real-time calculation is definitely possible. But it would be a lot easier if something new was found. Again, you could play on the PC version and get a run much quicker than this, but I like running on just, what I have, the newest patch of the Switch version. If you want to learn more about this game, I definitely recommend checking out the speedrun.com page for this game. in the description. You can see more runs there, and you can also join the Discord server there for advice if you want to learn how to speedrun this game yourself. It's a very fun speedrun, and I definitely wish it had some more active runners. So my sum of best segments, which is the combination of all my gold splits, like my best ever individual splits, is 29.43. So theoretically, like a very near perfect run with my strats could definitely sub 30. And again, I'm not doing all the fastest strats. Like there are some strats in Haunted Boardwalk I could do to save a little bit more time, and Shark Attack I could do a slightly quicker skip. But there we go, 30-12, a very, very solid run. Super happy with this, and yeah. Thanks for watching, hope you guys enjoyed this commentary. Let me know if you enjoyed it in the comments. I don't normally do full commentary for runs, but this run was pretty solid, so I figured it deserved it. If you want to follow updates for me speedrunning, I stream runs on YouTube right here, so if you subscribe with bell notifications, you'll get notified whenever I go live. And I also post on Twitter and my own personal Discord server, linked in the description when I go live as well. So look forward to that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.